Hey everybody, this is Fusions here, bringing you a Guild Wars 2 video, a recent article posted on arena.net. Is it fun? I'm just going to be going through this article and summing it up because it would take too long to read out. So let's start off. The first paragraph is basically, it's going on about subscription numbers. And a lot of games are based off subscription. So they will, when they're advertising their game, they'll say, oh, we got this many subscribers. But then if you actually go into the game, you might find out that there's not that many simultaneous players, which can pose a problem when you're playing an MMO. If you don't have the correct amount of players, it's going to be difficult for you to find a dungeon, to do a quest, to get gear, and this is the type of things that they're being talking about here. Whereas Guild Wars 2 isn't based on subscriptions because you don't have to pay subscriptions. And so they're saying that some games shadow the fact that their game doesn't actually have that many players playing at the same time. So that's an interesting thought. So maybe Guild Wars 2, it's suggesting that they're going to be more open about it. They're going to tell you to do it straight. So then it goes on to talk about subscription-based MMOs that they put in things that make a player keep playing. So say you start playing a MMO, you aim for something. So you want to aim for that endgame content. But the thing is, the game developers want you to play for longer because you're paying a subscription. So by filling in the gap between you starting the game and getting to the endgame content that most people find the most fun, they fill it in with stuff that takes a long time. And it might not necessarily be actual fun. You might be thinking to yourself, it's a grind. I have to get to the max level to be able to have the fun, and it's not fair because I have to grind to get there. But if you're a subscription-based MMO, then that's what you're going to want to do. You're going to want to put loads of content in there so the player has to keep playing, he has to keep paying them. And that's how an MMO usually works. By putting in a lot of content, it might not necessarily be fun, but it means that the player who's playing has to take their time and keep paying money to be able to get to the end game content that they really want to play. So that's interesting because, once again, Guild Wars 2 is not a subscription-based MMO, which they're basically saying, what if the development of the game was based on, wait for it, fun? So Guild Wars 2 is just pointing out there that they're not a subscription-based MMO, so therefore they don't need to put in filler content. They want to base their game on fun, and I find this really interesting. So let's go on to, the next paragraph, it's basically going on about what type of things games do. So 25 daily quests, they're saying there that they need to log on to do in this particular MMO, which, might be digging at WoW, because that's what you usually do in WoW. You gotta hand in daily quests to get your reputation, to get your gold, to get your levels, whatever you want to do it for. And doing 25 dailies, I'm sure not that many people enjoy doing that because it does take a long time and it may not be fun in some people's opinion. So there they might be having a little dig at their competitor, which is probably what they're going to be versing in the market. So let's go on to fun impacts loot collection. So it's saying here that the rarest items in Guild Wars 2 are not going to be the most powerful, which I like the idea of that, because it means that you don't have to constantly grind a dungeon or an NPC because it's not going to be the best item in the game. So however, if you're the type of player that likes to grind the gear, you can do that, and the reward for that is that you get a cool looking item. And for many people, what you look like in the game is very important to them, and that is why they grind things. And maybe just the grinding aspect is something that you like. So they're offering both sides there. If you're a player that you don't want to grind the gear, well, it's not going to affect you because the items aren't going to be any better for grinding it. But if you do want to grind it, you're going to look better than other people out there. But I like that idea because it doesn't actually affect gameplay, it just shows that you're the type of player that wants to grind. So fun impacts decisions. Every time you finish a dungeon, you get tokens you can trade in for rewards, items that you want, rather than having a small chance of getting it as a drop, because it's more fun to always get rewarded finishing with something you want to have. So then again, it's just repeating the fact that it's going to be fun. So you're doing a dungeon, so you're playing another game, you might have to do that dungeon many times to get the random loot that boss is going to drop. However, in Guild Wars 2, they're saying that it's going to be, you get tokens for every dungeon you play. So every single time you do a dungeon, you're not thinking to yourself, this is a waste of time because I might not get it, because you're always going to get some tokens that's going to go towards your gear. So every time you complete a dungeon, you think to yourself, well, that was actually worth my time. Unlike other MMOs, which, you might have to do a dungeon lots of times and you might not get any gear, and that can leave a player feeling very annoyed. So fun impacts development. So explorable dungeons have multiple paths you can take in random events. Because of this, you don't feel like you need to play the same dungeon over and over again if you want to chase the prestigious rewards at the end, but can instead mix up that experience to keep it fresh and fun. So now they're saying that, if you're playing a dungeon in another MMO, it might be the fact that the dungeon's the same every time. But Guild Wars 2 is saying that, we're going to make it so you're going to go different places every time. So you're not going to feel that you're seeing the same place every time. And that can be very boring boring and very grindy as a player. And so having randomized paths, I think that's a very cool idea because it means that you're feeling that you're having a different experience every time. And that's definitely something that I like about games. I like if it's random because then you don't feel like you're playing the same game over and over again. Fun impacts customization. Now, I don't know if you guys know, but I might make more videos about this. But when you're on Guild Wars 2, you pick your own storyline. It asks you questions about what you want your character to be like, and these impact your gameplay. So if you pick a different thing every time you play this certain character, you're going to get a different story. You're going to go on a different path, and this makes your character customizable. So, you know, you're not playing a game where your character is always going to be the same story, the same quests, so it's going to be different every time. And again, this is saying like you have different paths. It's not the same game you're playing over and over again. So it's better for a player. It's less grindy. So I'm going to read this one out because this one has quite a lot of information about how fun impacts the gameplay. So the pursuit of fun and content led us to make many gameplay decisions, including everyone who helps kill a creature gets experience and loot. So you're not competing with other players. This is important in an MMO because, you know, if you're killing something and you feel like another player is going to come in and steal that kill and steal your experience, it's very annoying. However, if you're getting experience shared for every kill, it's a lot better and makes it more fun. So everyone gets rewarded for events with karma they can spend to buy rewards they want, rather than getting a random roll of stuff they might not want. So again, you know, if you're playing a game, you might get some junk that you don't want. However, if you get karma, you can spend it on stuff you want, which means again, you're feeling like you're not wasting your time, you're constantly getting something that is going to improve your gameplay experience. So, content scales in difficulty, so if more people show up, there's still stuff for you to do. Again, this supports group play, so if more people come in, you don't feel like they're stealing your kills, because the amount of enemies increases, and means that you still feel that you have an important part to play. Everyone is able to revive one another, so again, this means that you can assist other players to achieve your goals. So again, it's more of a teamwork type game. You don't feel like you're competing with the other players, you're helping the other players, because you want to revive them, because the content scales in difficulty, so therefore if you revive another player, it's going to help you, and as soon as the experience is shared, that means that it's just everything helps your team. So playing together as a team, I think, is going to be quite a big part of Guild Wars 2. I think that's good because I think talking to other players, being a group that you can meet anywhere, you know, you just start a quest and you meet a random bunch of players you can talk to. It's good, it's fun, and it makes Guild Wars 2 a very social game. But of course, you can also play solo. You know, you don't have to be in a group. You can kind of ignore everyone if you want, if you're that type of player. But I would say that playing with other players is the best type of experience you can get. So everyone can harvest resource nodes and get the rewards in the world together, rather than racing other people to them who might steal it from you. All of these things are just more fun. So again, this is just increasing the fun factor. Nobody's competing against each other. It's not going to affect your gameplay. It's not going to affect your fun. And then it continues to go on to how their developers suggest improvements to the game. They're just saying how they place some content and then you write in the box and you say how you want to improve it, and then they meet as a group and they talk about how they can improve it. It all helps the game. And it goes on to say about the beta that's been out. The beta has been, there's been 2 beta weekends and there was a stress test not long ago. It all helps the game, so hopefully when the game comes out, it's going to be amazing. It's going to have no bugs. It's going to be bug-free. It's then to reminding you about the upcoming beta weekends that you can pre-order to get Guild Wars 2. I may make some videos in the future about more articles, about the gameplay. I might record some videos. So if you like this video, comment, subscribe, and I'll see